I see it as like if you have this dream or an ideal or a goal and you want to go to it, you're going to rise to that occasion. So you're going to start collecting like subconscious thoughts, and you're going to notice like paper clippings or newspaper clippings and bits of videos and things, and you start to collect this information base of what you want and how it's going to happen. And then you gain the knowledge to then develop like the skills you need to get to it, or buy the things you need to get to it, whatever it is. And so you start like leveling up to where you want to go. And then the choice comes, and that's when it's like, okay, now it's, jump across the void and go on there, or you have to go, no, I can't do that, and turn around and go back.
Welcome to the Less Trodden Path podcast, a dedication to untangling the world in a raw and honest way, following your gut and your dreams, no matter what they may be. Often they are different to what is known as the norm, a step out of the comfort zone, the path less tread. We are here to help inspire you to take your own path by sharing both our own journey and the stories of others too, making it clear along the way that anyone can do it, whatever it may be, with all the ups and downs, the good, the bad, the pretty, the ugly included. Dreams take time, but if you put your all into it, time doesn't mean anything. This week we speak with two of the brightest, most energising souls we've ever had the pleasure of connecting with, Rita and Anthony. Not only did their bright yellow converted school bus grab our attention, but their positivity and sunshine vibes left us wanting to know more. Rita and Anthony share their less trodden path journey of leaving uni without much of an idea of what they wanted to do, other than not the jobs they had just qualified in, and avoiding the 9-to-5 life as much as possible. 6 years on, they found themselves travelling the globe, finding jobs as and when needed to keep themselves afloat, and taking life as it comes, literally, to the max. They are yet to work that 9-to-5 life. It was a pleasure and such fun speaking with Rita and Anthony and hearing their very own less trodden path.
I'll be spending all my time living out my bucket list.
All good?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Awesome. How are you both then? How was your breakfast? Seeing if you've just had it at 2:00.
Yeah.
Had beans on toast, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really nice actually. Some oregano, a bit of salt, and
Nice.
That's the way to do it.
Fancy beans.
How are you?
how you
Yeah,
guys
we're
doing?
good. We're good.
Back in the UK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay actually. Like obviously it's not quite sunny Spain and stuff, but
It looks like a good day there though.
yeah, it's
not bad.
bright and grey, but it's bright and it's not too cold. We've not had any frost yet or anything, which is
Yeah.
nice, or rain, which is nice.
And we're back in the
Oh,
UK,
wow.
but we're actually just in quarantine, really. So we actually haven't been anywhere other than this house.
Yeah,
So,
Into the back garden.
yeah.
pretty much.
Are you
Exactly.
staying with family? Like, can you see your parents?
Yeah, we're at my parents'. Luckily, they've got the space to the van and for us to be snuggled up inside. So it's quite nice. We are very lucky in that way, we must admit. But it was really nice to see people again and to kind of connect because we'd been quite disconnected from so much over the last 5 months of being on the road. So it was.
It's hard, isn't it, to stay in touch, to call, to message, and stuff. You kind of forget.
Yeah.
Especially in the times at the moment with the virus, like the streets are so quiet and stuff as well. It's not as if, you can you meet all these people all the time. Like you definitely meet some, but you don't meet, as many as you would. And when you do, you can't be close.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just go to the park or you just go into town and you meet someone, and that's a nice experience. But yeah, it's kind of strictly meeting people as and when you can, or like I don't know. There's like these little support bubbles and things in the UK.
Yeah.
We don't even know all of the
We don't know
terminology.
what's happening in the UK,
There are
no.
like words for everything now. Like
Yeah.
what's your R number? And
What is
like,
that even? I don't know.
It's really interesting because obviously you've been on the road for like a long time, right?
Yeah, in a van for
Yeah.
18 months now. Year and a half.
So in the van, and then before that we were backpacking. So we've kind of been on the road or moving around since 2014. With
Or 15.
2015. Yeah, that's right.
2015, yeah.
And we had like 4 or 5 months back I think that was the longest time, about 6 months.
I think when we
What
came
about
back
mine and yours?
to convert the van,
Yeah,
that was the longest
that was
time.
true. Yeah.
Yeah. When we finished uni, we worked for a year and then we didn't want to stay in England for much longer, so went traveling. It's been a long time.
So what's kind of like, can you both stay in Europe? Do you have like residency and stuff? Or?
Well, I'm from Lithuania, so for me, that's
No
fine.
problem.
But for you?
I'm in a strange situation because I have family from Portugal and family from England, so I've applied for my citizenship card from Portugal, and that was done in November, and we're waiting for that. So we're kind of in this middle bracket where the window's closing on UK residents being able to stay in Europe, but then I might have this window open to go and stay in Europe because of that, but it's all up in the air right now because of COVID. Obviously, everything's locked down. And
Or are you potentially coming back or leaving Europe? What is it, by like Monday then? Or
next week, I think.
are you just taking it?
Wing it.
Technically, we probably should, but because Anthony's citizenship is pending,
Yeah,
I
you
think
should
we
be alright.
have.
I've heard that
okay.
they take a while anyway.
Okay.
Some people we know from Spain are doing the same, like they've applied for their residency and they're just waiting for it, but it's not come through because these things take so long. But I think you'd be all right.
Yeah, I'm sure they've got a massive abundance of people applying right now in this past year.
Exactly. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully you don't have to like beeline back on the 31st or something.
No, I think to be honest,
God.
we'd probably just go race into Africa or somewhere weird like that, rather than. I mean, it feels like. I mean, nothing on you guys, but it feels like going back into the UK would be kind of going back into a prison right now, or being locked down. Which is, I think it's good to work on, to be in a small space. You kind of already get this as well. Like you get time to really figure out what it is you want to do by yourself, like learning how to be with yourself and in close proximity to someone you love. And that's really good. I think that's a really valuable life lesson. And so many people have had that because you can usually just escape to wherever you want to go, the pub, or something.
Yeah.
And
Definitely. No, we agree. Like the decision of coming back for us was tough to start with because it was like we have all of this, we have this kind of freedom of going wherever we want, like driving if we don't want to be here or in the spot that we're at, we can just move. We can, obviously, like you said, as you guys know as well, there's an incredible freedom to it. For us, it was, it really was like, we're going back to the UK. We said that we wouldn't go back to the UK for as long as we possibly could. But then it just kind of came to the point where it was just like, we need to. Like, this isn't even a case of we want to. This is like we need to. Like, we kind of really stood with ourselves and...
Do you reset?
Yeah, we needed a huge reset. I mean, there's a few other things as well. So, like, for example, I need to renew one of my passports. So my Belgian passport needs renewing. And if we were to stay, then it would have kind of complicated that. And we were thinking of also, like, for the vaccine and stuff, for example, if you're now only going to be able to travel with the vaccine, for us, one of the things we wanted to look into is that, and there were a few other reasons as well. But yeah, the main one was definitely to reset, and we don't regret any of it, which is awesome. But we also, we can
see the draw of why you'd want to stay out.
Like,
though.
Avoid the UK if you can,
awesome.
for sure.
But yeah, you can, make the best of your time anywhere. It doesn't really matter where you are.
there's obviously, I understand, coming back reasons of family, and you have a lot of stuff that you probably were missing out. Like we spoke about your guitar, Benedict,
exactly.
But getting your hands back on something that you.
I think the way that we left as well was quite quick, and we were sudden. And I think that it was. I mean, all these things are always quick and sudden stuff, but we had a bunch of stuff that. We had a bunch of stuff with us that we probably didn't need, that we wanted to get rid of. Like, how do we get rid of it without coming back? And there's just a whole bunch of things that if there's a round 2, we know how to do it now. Like round 1 was like an experiment.
Yeah.
So for people that are like yourselves who are quite seasoned, you must kind of have a bit of experience with that kind of minimal living.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, having a van, it's like we have so much, because
Yeah.
before we just had backpacks, you know. So now it's loads of stuff.
How did you go about that? Like, how did you go about like minimizing your life, or was it something that you've already kind of had?
I think you're already a
Yeah.
super minimalist, aren't you? So.
Yeah, I think
was
so,
really
because like I first came from Lithuania, right, to England when I was 18 to go to university, and I didn't bring much, so I was so happy with having so little. So it was quite easy when we went traveling like 4 years later. We had an apartment full of stuff. Like, you know, you accumulate stuff, like just it happens. And that's the first time we just got rid of so
We had
much
10
stuff.
bin bags of just stuff we did not use or need.
Yeah.
And we sold a lot of it and recycled and just, it was just 10 bin bags full of stuff. And we were like, where did this come from? How did we collect this?
And then, yeah, you think, what do you use, you know, at least once per week? And then you only keep that stuff, like what you really, really need. So, obviously clothing, all of the essentials, but then, you know, like yoga mat or guitar and just a very few essentials. That's all you need.
It was alright transferring into the van then, because we had that experience backpacking and just a couple of books, clothes, and odd little tools or something, you know, medikit, that sort of thing. So when we came into the van, we had this idea, like, let's just keep it all very simple and, you know, like white walls with no decorations and all this stuff, and we'll build it up as we go. Once we start to live in the space, then we'll have the idea of, it's kind of, then the necessity drives what we fill it with, that sort of idea. Yeah, so I think that was really good.
But it is a struggle between, because we're so different in many ways. And
I hoard a lot. Like, I was hoarding a lot. Like that 10 bin bags, probably like 9 of them were mine. Maybe 9.5.
That's true. And I feel like I need just space. I don't need stuff anywhere. Like, I don't want to see things. And Anthony collects many things on the road.
I
and
like to upcycle and
blah,
craft
blah, blah.
and stuff.
There's always something laying around, and it's like our main
I'm
conversation.
looking like, what's around now?
Yeah.
Crafty bits.
But it's good, you know, like we have a few more nice things here because of you, and maybe we have, like, it's not as cluttered as it would be because of me.
So we balance each other out in
balance,
that.
yeah.
way.
That's cool. That's cool. How did you, like, because obviously, did you both go to university?
Yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah. And then what made you kind of go, because what did you study at university?
Well, I did journalism and media, which, just because I was writing a school newspaper, I thought, oh yeah, why not? But I didn't enjoy it. So yeah. And
we end up hating what we study or something. I was going to go into graphics design. That's kind of the avenue I was going in graphics design. But then I did a foundation course in art, so I just did like everything, installation and painting and just all sorts of weird stuff. And that photography was in that. Then went on to animation, so I actually studied 3D animation and visual effects, which I thought at the time was quite interesting, and it proved to really be beneficial because I learned a lot about like physics and anatomy and all sorts of crazy stuff, because you have to build a world inside a computer. So you need to know how water reacts and how the muscles move in the body and those sorts of things. So it really opened up a lot of studies and a foundation of learning. And that was like kind of my little trick to not end up hating what I'm going to study, because I could kind of see that coming and advice from other people.
But we enjoy learning, so I think like we chose to go to university. But of course, you don't have to go to university to learn, as we know now. But when you're 18 years old, you feel like that's something you have to do. But then we knew that we never want to work for anyone, and we never actually have worked for anyone.
No, not more than like 2 weeks or like 10 months.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did you go about that? How did you go from university to that, you know, to never working
does
and
that
then
work?
to traveling and all that? Like,
So we did work for 1 year to save up money for traveling, but it was freelance based.
So I basically introduced us both into this job, and while I was at university, there were club nights, you know, the standard. Everyone goes and gets drunk on the weekend or any other day of the week, doesn't really matter. And I met a guy who was setting up club nights, and I said, hey, I know a lot of people and I like to talk to people and can I like sell tickets for you? And so we started that little relationship. Long story short, at the end, he gave me this phone call at like 2 p.m. I was in bed at 2 p.m. and he gave me this phone call like, hey, do you want to come out and give out these like vouchers, you know, Shoe, that company, give out these vouchers and I'll give you like 50 quid for 2 hours. I was like, yeah, okay. So I got out of bed and did that, and I just asked at the end, what's this about? And he opened my view to this whole new sort of like freelance work that a lot of people are doing, is promotional marketing. So whenever you see someone, you know, those cars you get in the shopping centres, or just like at a boat show or a car show or like a festival, there are people like kind of dressed in brand gear giving out stuff or talking about something. It's all like managed on this sort of freelance basis with these agencies. So we found this very well-paying job that we could do kind of as and when we please.
Together often.
Together.
Like we would go on
I got my
tours.
brother involved.
Yeah. Sometimes we would spend like on a tour, like traveling England, just two of us in a van, going like to a bar and just giving them some stock and telling some stuff about the brand, and staying in hotels and getting paid like a lot. And it was just fun, you know. It didn't feel like work at all. So yeah, that's what we did. And then every time we came back from traveling, if we were like, you know, running out of money, just to come back to reset, we could always just start doing it.
Yeah.
Like anytime. And you do it for a week and you make, you know, enough to go again.
I mean, the rate is usually about 100 to 150 pounds per day, and you can do anything between 4 to 8 hour days. So it's really like all over the place. So you could, but it works out a really good transfer of time for money, you know, if you're working. But you have to be very high energy and like approaching people, and sometimes you're talking to people in the streets, like kind of doing that vox popping sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's still not like now, you know, we kind of stopped doing that because some brands, of course, it didn't align with our morals, but we, you know, gained through traveling.
Yeah, like we were giving out Coca-Cola sometimes, or like cigarettes. So I was doing something with cigarettes, and I was just at that point we were like, do we really want to keep doing this? So we started changing our attitude to like, what's the long-term career prospect, that sort of thing.
But it did open our eyes that you don't have to work for a company and have a boss with you and stuff like that. You can freelance doing so many things.
We love that job. We were so lucky to find that.
Yeah,
as well.
when we were that age, for sure.
Did you know that you were gonna do that to save to go traveling, or were you just sort of did that kind of come about?
We did want to go traveling, but yeah, we didn't have a plan.
We both had the idea we wanted to go traveling for a long time, and I think we knew we could just buckle down and work really hard for a few months and save up enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was.
Yeah, but I think like we started feeling really, I don't know, deflated, depressed, being in England and just working and thinking we're gonna have to probably get an office job maybe at some point, and I don't know, it was quite depressing that time. So yeah, then but literally I remember it was May, and we're like, should we just go to Australia next month and start traveling? And that's how it happened. We're like, okay, next month we just go. We just booked tickets like that evening.
Yeah, that's a crazy story in itself.
Yeah.
That whole Australia.
How long were you there for?
3 months.
3 months in Australia, and then we worked our way up through Indonesia or Bali, then Thailand.
And then we started running out of money.
So we started working in China. We actually lived in the city where Taoism was founded, like Lao Tzu, the teacher. So like, it was this amazing place we landed in, which kind of linked in with, we were getting really interested in spiritual aspects, and you know, we were doing a lot of meditation and yoga, and so it kind of all linked up, like it all just perfectly fit together. We landed in this town doing a job teaching English to kids, which we loved doing, and it was just full of joy every day. And then we could walk outside and have free time to explore this rich culture in one of these like really significant cities. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was great.
That's crazy. Like, I love how it just escalated. Like, it just almost happened. Like, you didn't force anything. It just happened. Like,
it was like a faith. We put a faith in ourselves that if we work hard and we go out and just like jump out on a limb and go and travel and do what we want to do, it will work out. And it did.
Yeah, it's like we definitely had, you know, some bad thoughts, thinking like, we can't do this, we can't just go, like we don't have enough money. We don't have a plan. We never had a proper plan. You know, like we're not teachers. We can't go teach in China. Or like, what are we gonna do? Like, if we buy a van, like, can we convert the van? Like, what are we gonna do when we're going to Europe? Like, yeah, you know, we had doubts, but then every time we're just like, we trust that we can make it work, whatever happens, you know, and we just take the lead.
Yeah. How about you guys? How did you get started in your van travels?
So we were actually going to be going to Australia in September 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, as we all know, the virus came along and changed that. So the van, we'd always spoken about it, but it wasn't plan A. It was going to be a thing that we would do whenever the time was right. And, well, the time was right apparently in September. Our flat was coming to the end, and we had said from September 2019 that whatever happens, you know, like we're only staying in this flat for a year, and then we're out. Like, we're, you know, traveling, we're moving somewhere else, we're doing something, we're doing crazier things than what we'll do this year, kind of thing. And so yeah, obviously the virus hit and it stopped Australia, but we were still like, we're still going, like, we're still doing something, like we said we would, so we're doing it. And we then just decided on the van because it kind of made the most sense with, you know, everything. And but we didn't decide until like 2 months before our flat ended, because we wanted to wait until Australia was confirming that it was closed. So when it confirmed, like I said, we had 2 months left, and we found the van. Obviously, we didn't convert the van ourselves because we didn't have the time, because we had to be out the flat by September. And we, like I said, confirmed that Australia wasn't going to happen literally 2 months before. We have no idea.
So then we were like, right,
you know, how to convert a van.
How do we do this? How do we get a van?
So yeah, so we looked at options. We looked at maybe buying one that was like half done, or looking at someone who could do it for us. But all of those options just weren't available. Like, either people were fully booked, or there were just no vans that were half done, or what we were looking for. So we just thought, let's just get one that's already done. Like, you know, after all, it doesn't matter really if you've converted it yourself or not. And at the end of the day, like, it's still the same experience.
It's something that we'd like to do, for sure. But at that point in time, it felt like if we try and convert it with imminent lockdowns as well, we were like, we'll probably just convert one and then get stuck anyway. So we were like, let's
just like you valued getting out there as well, rather.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
and
just
we didn't find the van until 2 weeks before having to leave the flat. So that was quite kind of stressful and stuff, but it happened. It came along, and
it was a bit like you guys. We just had faith that it would work.
Yeah.
And that if that didn't happen, we'd find something. We just had faith that something would happen, and then it was a stress, but it was cool. It was fun. It was like
worth it.
High energy stuff. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But and then we left just a few weeks later after like doing it up ourselves, because it was just like a blank canvas.
Yeah, but that was a crazy decision as well, because we sort of. We decided we'd leave, and then 3 days later we were in Europe. Like, we booked the ticket and we just went. But yeah, it's, you know, I think these things have to be approached with that just level of like, we'll work it out as we go kind of thing.
Yeah, go for it. Just go for it.
Yeah, of course.
Just do it. Make your dreams come true.
Yeah.
Literally, like, it's just so. And the thing is, I'm sure like you guys feel the same. Every time it's ever been, you know, every time you kind of just go for it, no matter what happens, it always like ends up okay. It always happens, even if it's not quite how you had planned out. Like, nothing does go as you ever plan out exactly. So like,
right, yeah, it's always a good experience either way, right?
Yeah, exactly. But like when you guys were saying how you would just go for it, and you would, you know, you just went travelling, you just decided to book tickets to Australia then and there and all that, and then you kept going through the countries. Obviously, like you said, there were times where you were stressed and stuff. And how did you kind of go about to control those stresses? How did you, you know, because for anyone potentially who's like listening, like, it's easy to say, oh, we just believed. But like, what did you do? You know, you said that you're into yoga, meditation and all that, but kind of what did you do for yourselves that maybe might help others, for example, in that way.
I think it's the uncertainty that makes you feel stressed. So if you like, usually we take a piece of paper and we write things down, like what is the outcome, what might happen, and then like make plan A, plan B, plan C, and then that you will be able to sort it out.
Always have a
like
backup,
yeah. You want to add to that?
It's true. Yeah, it's always having a backup plan, and I see it as like if you have this dream or an ideal or a goal and you want to go to it, you're going to rise to that occasion. So you're going to start collecting like subconscious thoughts, and you're going to notice like paper clippings or newspaper clippings and bits of videos and things, and you start to collect this information base of what you want and how it's going to happen, and then you gain the knowledge to then develop like the skills you need to get to it, or buy the things you need to get to it, whatever it is. And so you start like leveling up to where you want to go. And then the choice comes, and that's when it's like, okay, now it's, jump across the void and go on there, or you have to go, no, I can't do that, and turn around and go back. And so that's when the point comes of the stress, and that's when we are most hesitant to proceed. So whenever we get to a moment like that, we've just learned, I think in the beginning it was just kind of like a naivety, just go for it, because we did have like one time where it didn't work out and it backfired, but you have to just push forward with the knowing that you're going to get to your goal and you've prepared for it. And that's what I'm saying. The flip side of that is when you don't prepare and you kind of like are like going on skating on by with what happened before sort of thing, then you can not achieve that because you haven't put the preparation in, is what I'm saying.
But you don't have to prepare like before it happens. You can prepare after something happens. So like, to give a couple examples, right? Like the very first thing when we were going to Australia, our flight was on Monday and it was Friday, and we were like, packing, getting excited, buying all the things, and then I was like, do you need to get visas for Australia? And we're like, we googled it. Yeah, you need visas.
So we booked the flight, we planned everything, we're about to meet our friends and stay there.
That was the first trip. We were noobs. But then like obviously Anthony is English. Australia and England have a good connection. Yeah. So you were able to get a visa like the next day on Saturday.
Yeah.
But I'm from Lithuania and they don't have such a good relationship. They asked me to send loads of things, like my bank statements, Anthony's bank statements. And then they asked me to send some more stuff, blah, blah. And then literally went to bed on Sunday. I didn't have my visa yet. Anthony had his visa. And we were like, what are we going to do? If I don't get the visa, when Anthony flies and I book another flight and we take that financial hit and blah, blah. So then, we made the plan, what's going to happen, like what are the options for us.
We were so stressed, like just...
Yeah, it was really stressful. But we knew that, we'll make it work. But I got the visa in the morning. I woke up at like 8 a.m. I looked at my phone and the visa was there. So
taking those steps.
But then I guess the next one, that would be maybe not being able to enter America. Do you want to talk about that one?
So after we travelled to Australia and went up and went to China, we came back to UK, went to Europe for a bit, and we came back to UK again, and then we were planning to go to... Sorry, we went to Europe, then America, then Europe again, and then we were going to go to America again, and we had met some friends there last time doing house sitting. That was a great way we got around doing travelling and on a budget. We're doing house sitting, and they invited us to come. Happened to be at the time of the New Orleans Jazz Festival, and we were like, oh great, we'll get to see like Aerosmith and Lionel Richie and all these like
they got tickets for
American
all of
idols.
us. They planned everything. We were so excited to
and
go
we were
again.
going to go like to their place called Breckenridge. It's like a gold mining thing, and I was like, ooh, maybe we'll find gold. And we got all like really excited about this, and we had neglected to notice that the last time we were in the US, you have like a 90-day limit. And we arrived and left like so you imagine that as the days tick over, you've got 24 hours in a day. If as the day ticks into that 1 hour, that's a full day on the system in America. So even though we'd stayed like 23 hours and 89 days and blah blah blah, and it was within a limit that didn't let us. It was a technicality. I'm not saying it turned out to be a technicality that we couldn't could not travel because it was classed as 91 days, whereas it was like 89 days and 15 hours or something like that.
You know ESTA, right? Like ESTA visa you use to go to America. It's 90 days,
Yeah.
And our house, it finished literally at the end, so we couldn't leave any earlier. We left on that
But I
day.
remember we
But
looked at it and we were like, okay, it's 90 days. Like, we're leaving
Yeah.
on the 90th day. It'll be fine.
And in the airport, like, they saw outbound tickets when we arrived, you know, and they said everything's fine, it's all okay. We're going to Ecuador after, and they're like, yeah, that's great. You can leave on that day, and everything was okay.
And this story still chokes me up a bit because this was like a massive plan we made for ourselves, and not being able to go on that trip when we went on an overnight bus with the email saying that you can't go on the flight or on the bus. We were like, overnight, we have to just go and find out if we can, and we ended up falling through. And it was that bump in the road that led us to then go, well, what should we do here? And we actually ended up, using that decision to find a way to build a van and have like a space for ourselves that we could fall back on if we have a situation like that where we can't travel. But at the time it was like devastating because we had nowhere to go. We'd already like put some money in and we'd had all these plans, and the alternative, we went back to kind of live in this little box room in my parents' house and without knowing what we're going to do. So we were like setting up to stay there for a longer period of time, and time just rolled on while we figured out what we were doing, got the bus, converting it, so then I'm like making all of this kind of workshop sort of atmosphere in my parents' house, and it was all just like a bit out of nowhere. Suddenly this big stress has been dropped on everyone. So it was a real like wake up call to us at the time to not just like kind of keep flying without ever touching the ground. You need a way to like land and rest and recuperate. You can't just like keep going on that high all the time.
Yeah, but even though that was a stressful experience when we were, denied our entry to America, like that's what brought us, to van life. Like I don't think we would have built a van.
No, exactly.
If that didn't happen. So everything always works out,
Sure.
better than you expect.
Yeah, definitely. And it always happens for a reason as well. Like maybe there was a reason why you didn't make it to America. Like, maybe it's a good thing. And now you're in the van and you're doing other experiences, but maybe they're way better than what you would have had in America.
Yeah, definitely. Now we definitely think that.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the best. Like, we love this life, Like, we loved traveling, backpacking, house sitting, but this stops all of it, I think.
Yeah, it is.
It's just so amazing to have your own house and go to these beautiful places. Like now we're surrounded by mountains, the Sierra Nevada behind us, and it's so cool, to wake up here and and just work from here. And now we have a dog as well, which is super fun. And life is good.
Representing van life to the max.
Going all out.
No, definitely. Oh, it's just so good to hear, and it's just, it's amazing how you've just happened to like fall into it. It's really really awesome. But how I had a question in mind.
We believe a lot in like manifestation and making things happen. Like you said, everything happens for a reason. And so we do believe that as well, and we have put into practice some of those techniques. How like you start thinking about something enough and then you start talking about it, and when you start talking about it enough, then you start acting on it, and then those actions become your experience. Like you go out and do things in the world, or you meet people. So through that process, your thoughts do really shape your reality through that consistent application of a faith, of a goal, of going towards something you believe can happen. And then it makes
So obviously you said that you've never worked for anyone, which is awesome.
Cool.
So now that kind of like you've been in the van and stuff, what do you do to, because obviously you have to have some sort of income to continue with the van. So
Maybe.
Obviously we have done a little bit of stalking, as you do. I'll put my hands up and say that I have. I've actually signed up to your energy Reiki course. I looked at it this morning quickly, came across it a bit more, and I was like, well, I'm really into that kind of stuff, and why not? Just
Yeah, you're a yoga teacher, right? So it's kind of, it's, yeah, very similar. Working with energy.
Yeah, and I'm really into it. I mean, so are you. So yeah, but what do you kind of, what do you do now? Like, you obviously you work for yourselves, so.
Yeah, well, there are a few things. Like, we work a lot, even though we don't work for anyone. We work mom and we travel.
But we're trying to move more into sharing the value we found through our spirituality or through our practices, and that's one of the big areas we'd like to step into. And previously, it was kind of manifested by we shared the cloaks and cushions that a parent of one of our students in China provides these to all of the southeastern Buddhist monasteries, and they gave us some for free when we met them at dinner once, and we were like, wow, thank you, this is great, and I started using them. We both were like using the cushions and the cloaks, and
then we got back to England, and we met Anthony's mom's friend, who is a yoga teacher, and she was saying that she's been looking for meditation cloaks everywhere, and she can't buy any, and she would like to use them in her classes, to give to students at the end of a class. And we literally were just thinking, like, what should we start? What kind of business should we start? And we had those meditation cloaks, and we knew the supplier, we knew someone who makes them, so we started selling those on Etsy and Amazon. Cushions, cloaks, and then the linen cloaks that my brother makes, because he has a linen factory, and that's basically how we've been supporting ourselves for 3
that was
years.
like a passive. It became like a passive income because we set it all up and create like the ethos of what we want to present, and it worked. It got us off the ground. It was we were able to provide a product that we believed in and really wanted to share, and then and not feel bad about, like, I don't know, because we were going to do this importing thing. We knew we were going to be like taking something, buying low, selling high sort of thing. So we want to do that in more like an ethical way, so to speak, or a spiritual way. But we did still end up becoming like this, like a retailer, and that's not. We realized then, like, we're working in this spiritual area, but we're not doing anything like with what we do that makes us happy,
Yeah.
So we didn't want to be like a middleman or something, and so we've now started to shift into, we want to just talk and communicate and provide spaces for different types of healings.
So we created Reiki Academia like at Christmas last year. It's still very new. It's still learning how to do it all, and we made that course, energy sensitivity training, and now we're making more courses, like Reiki courses, because Anthony's a Reiki master, I'm a second degree practitioner, so we want to, we used to do it in person, and now we weren't able to, so we want to have a platform where people can, come and learn and have a community on there.
A mixture of, stuff. Well, the first thing we put up there is free, because I wanted to put something out that really offers a way to go from, like, what is energy? I don't even believe in this rubbish, that sort of idea, and go and say, look, this is a way you can see a path to practicing with energy from that point of view, or something around that area. That's why we've put that out first. But going back to how we supported ourselves before, we kind of mixed and chopped together a load of different projects. Like, we built a curriculum for a friend and their group in China. Like, we provided the study materials for them and created all the PPTs.
That basically bought us the van.
That bought us the van, yeah.
and then the conversion, just that one contract. It just came at the right time.
Yeah. There's freelance graphics design. Rita's done some match betting, if you've heard about that, yeah. And a bit of crypto trading, all sorts of different things.
Yeah,
we
like, because we're still finding what we like to do, so we like to dabble in many different things and see what sticks and what brings us the most joy, and also supports us, because we have been testing and trying, but our income always kind of goes up and then down. So we're looking for something stable that keeps us happy, but also is just like, more stable.
And we've learned a lot about conserving and finding ways to make something happen where you don't like exchange. The value of exchange of services and things like that is great. When I have something that you want, you have something I want, we share or exchange them, and that works out. You don't need to go and buy a brand new one that wastes materials, and that sort of idea so we've learned a lot about saving money on the road. Like I said, we didn't pay for accommodation. We did house sitting, where people actually even gave us like a car and money, and we had like a hot tub and a nice house and all these sorts of things. We found like a smarter way to travel, I think. And
actually, we're writing an ebook. Well, we kind of stopped for last 2 months, but we it's nearly finished.
Still got like 15,000 words in it or something.
Yeah, how to travel on a budget.
I was going to call it money-festing.
Money-festing,
something like that.
I mean, it sounds like you've got like a good what do you call it? You've done the work to be able to sort of put it out there by the sounds of things. It sounds really cool.
I like what you were saying about how if it doesn't feel right, like you don't want to put your energy into a job, for example, that doesn't feel right when you have all these other things you could be doing. Like so often it's like, well, you know, I love doing X, but I need money, so I'm going to do this job instead, and then, you know, without realizing, you then end up not having the time to do what it is you actually want to do, and then before you know it, time just flies by, and that thing you're actually passionate about is just sat there because you have no energy or time to put into it, because you're putting all of your energy and time into something just to keep you going. Whereas, you know, if you put all of that time and energy into something that you love, even if, like, to start with, it doesn't bring you money, for example, or as much as what you'd like, you keep believing in it, and it will eventually, something will happen. There's no way that nothing will happen if you believe in it that so much. Like, unless obviously you're not doing much work for it, then sure, like, you can't expect things to happen. But I really like to have, you know, you saying that, like, you just kind of dabble with things here and there that you like and stuff to keep yourselves going, and until you figure out what it is you really want to do, you'll just continue doing that, because, like I said, what's the point of doing something for most of your time that you don't enjoy when there's all these other things you want to do? I really liked the...
Yeah, that's great.
That's so true. You summed it up perfectly.
Podcast done.
Nice.
But I love how, like, I mean, you literally represent your van. It's just you're so bright and colourful and positive and just like amazing.
There you go. Red hat. Yeah, I mean yellow hat. We love the yellow colour. When we first bought it, it was like this kind of stained orangey yellow colour with stickers all over it. And Rita spent like 2 weeks scraping off all the stickers.
I listened to many audiobooks, which was great, but it was
That's kind of how we got into a lot of Audible books and podcasts at that time, actually. Yeah. But it was this kind of tatty yellow, and then we were thinking, should we make it black? Should we make it like a stealth green? Yeah, because
everyone's talking about being stealth, how important it is to be stealth.
Right,
like,
and we had that same feeling, like we want to make sure that we don't look like an obvious camper. But then we were thinking about it, and I just remember going, what about if you like hide in plain sight? That sort of idea. Like you're so bright, it's almost like people go, oh, that's weird, and then that's it. That's all the attention you get. But yeah, and that's really worked. Like it really has worked, because people look at our van, and just because it's an LDV, it's this British Royal Mail van, everyone's like, what is that? It's like some spaceship has landed, and and because it's yellow, it's actually all the same colour. The ambulances around Europe are all yellow, and all of like the fire vehicles in Portugal, for example, they're all yellow. So we look like a service vehicle, and I think that just kind of registers in people's minds, like, oh, it's probably just a builder or a medical thing or something, and pass on by.
But it's really nice, because when we drive in some smaller towns, children always look at us and point at us.
People wave and smile.
Yeah, everyone's looking at us, because, you know, it has those orange things at the top, the lights, and just odd duck-like shape, and it's like yellow. And yeah, it actually brings us lots more joy, because it's fun. It's fun and yellow.
Oh no, I love it. How long did it take you to like convert it and stuff?
Quite a long time.
Longer than we expected, and a lot longer because of all the holidays and went to see your family and things. overall, it took 9 months to give birth to this vehicle, and but if you put all the time together, as if like we were working day in day out, then it would be probably 5 months, I think. Yeah.
Because we were working at the same time as converting, but it also took us maybe 1 month to just get it ready for the conversion, because I had the seats in here, you know, like from
we stripped it all
school
out,
bus.
and we wanted to make sure the rust was treated.
Yeah, and then painting, and yeah, but it was much longer.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, like I said, we bought ours already done, but then we spent a month after making it ours, you know, adding things, removing things, changing things and all that. And it's like, if it took us a month to just, you know, adding curtains and cushions and things like that, like, I'm not surprised that it takes so long for the rest, you know.
But planning is the biggest thing, isn't it?
It's a journey itself, though, isn't it? Like, you learn so much. Like, we learned a crazy amount of things.
Yeah,
and
like electrics, plumbing, all these different like carpentry skills are just leveled up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's a fun thing to do.
It's a very fun project. The planning, like, above all, if you do any kind of planning, you're going to say, you know, that's the idea. You plan 10 minutes, you're going to save an hour. And that just really stacks up if you have a massive project like this. I would be writing notes and drawing sketches and stuff. And I think sometimes my dad was saying to me, like, why are you drawing it? You go out and do it.
Yeah.
And I was trying to say, I have to do this, otherwise I'll be in there for 2 years.
Yeah. That makes complete sense. That really does. I guess sometimes you can get carried away with, like, making it look pretty and all that. And
yeah, there's like overkill planning in there. You need a point, and then... Because otherwise you get lost down a rabbit hole of just plans, and then that plan takes you to another plan, and then you're just
Definitely the balance within them too.
Yeah, you don't want to be sat there all night drawing the design you're going to put on your knob handle or something.
Yeah. So are you still kind of just taking it as it goes and just seeing what happens, or do you have any plans for the near future, for the future?
We have sort of a plan.
Yeah.
Like, you know, of course, like a bit, you need to have some kind of plan to know what you want to do, but we don't know how those things will happen yet.
Yeah.
But we know that, you know, like, we were traveling a lot and it was fun, but then we started feeling like we want to have a base, and we kind of got bored of every time returning to our parents' houses. So we'd love to have our own base, and the van is kind of a bit like that already, you know, a place you can come back to and feel at home. But it's not exactly the same, I guess.
You can't put roots down. You can't
Yeah.
have the space evolve over time.
So we would like to buy some land at some point, and then would like to have like a retreat center on the land.
Yeah,
something
so
like
we
that.
have this general idea that's slowly coming into focus. You know, it started off this idea, lots of different things, wanting to do everything in one space. But yeah, now it's starting to come together where we will have an area to allow people to come and exchange skills, and it's going to be centered around that yoga, meditation, and energy work. So that theme.
Yeah, we're not sure when that's gonna happen, but we know it will happen.
Yeah.
And we still want to travel, you know, like it's nice to have that base to come back to and kind of work on it. And maybe in a few years.
But with that idea, like we this is because we're kind of in this process of the manifestation of it now, so it's kind of a good time to talk about it. And there's this concept that a lot of people use, and it's that if you want to go somewhere, you need to be very specific. So if you call up a taxi company, you need to tell them exactly what street you want to go to and when. And it's like that in life. If you have this idea, like, I want to go to this place, it's like, okay, well, how, where, and when, you know, and really, like, so we do, you know, a lot of people do their mood boards and that sort of thing. Visualization is a great thing to pick up. Just grabbing little snippets and ideas. So we've had this idea.
Can you do her thing?
Yeah. It's alright. Come back. Come here.
Sunny.
Oh, there you go. Come on. Up here.
I think she's trying to get to water, you know.
Oh, she had some anyway. She could get to it. She was just stuck.
Our dog.
Oh.
Girl.
Oh. What's she like in the van? Does she like it?
Yeah, she loves being cozy in
Yeah.
here. She likes the little spot by the window. She can see everything. And she loves cuddles.
Still a baby.
She loves cuddling with us.
Yeah, she's fun.
So, sorry, where were we?
I'm not sure. You're talking about manifestation, visualization?
Oh, right, yeah. So yeah, just basically saying that the idea, if you want to get somewhere, you have to be very specific. And the more you write down details, and we want to have a space like near a body of water, that's like a detail. And we want to have, like natural pine forest or something around. Those specifics start to make sense. And I always remember there was I think it's on The Secret, or like the video or the movie they made of The Secret. There's a guy saying how he had this picture of a mansion that he wanted for so long, and he went about doing his career and everything. And in 10 years, he found out the picture he got that day is the house he's now living in at that point. And it was this crazy story of how this idea came to fruition.
But that happened to us a few times.
Yeah.
We would like make Anthony, because he's a 3D animation designer, you would make like sketches of how we want the van to look before we even had the van, and how we wanted our apartment to look like back in the past before we had it, and then it comes to life, you know.
Whenever we did that, whenever we drew it or made it some kind of real model, it just happened. It just seemed to happen.
Now in the back of a mirror we have a little drawing of like a house by a lake and mountains and like people in a circle meditating.
It's a really crappy drawing, but yeah.
So cool.
Wow.
It's literally
really
taking
cool,
that concept of like visualize it, say it out loud, and then it will become true. You like go one step further to literally draw it down, write it down, and go, this is it now. This is real. It's so cool.
That's maybe what we need to do.
Yeah,
we're going to use this advice. This is going to be like, we're going to be getting the sketchbook out.
A physical thing. Like you're making it a reality, even on a basic level.
Yeah.
It's always good to see it as well. Like you stick it up on the wall and you can always see it. And then like every morning when you wake up, it's the first thing you see. And it's like, oh yes, like bring it back to, rather than kind of letting your mind wander, bring it back to, obviously for like the present, but also kind of what you're doing in the present to make that kind of dream come true and stuff. And it's always a reminder rather than, because sometimes, the mind wanders and it's like, what am I doing? What am I here for?
Yeah,
what
am I
want?
working towards?
And then, but whereas if you have that picture, that visualization all the time, you're always, and then you can change it whenever you need to. You can, things like that. So I like it.
It's cool.
I do.
Yeah. Very cool.
You can draw it though.
Yeah, all right.
Or make a song about it.
Yeah, that's a good
the other
idea.
thing.
Start making songs about.
There's all these songs about our life goals. Yeah.
Oh,
Do
good.
you guys have a dream that you would like to manifest?
Yes, for sure. Obviously, we're both into yoga quite a lot.
I think
Ben's
our
into
collective
music.
dream is really shared around this whole
It's
idea
quite
of
similar to
us
yours.
being just like working, like life shouldn't be centered around work at all, but like we want to own what we do. And I think that was the whole start of our journey and doing this podcast, and everything was just this. We both collectively share this vision of we want to own whatever it is we're doing. So whatever it is, we don't answer to someone. We don't, and not for any reason other than like it means that our days are our days,
Yeah.
And I think that's our
But it's also
collective
like
vision.
the things that we do we're so passionate about that we want to share them.
Yeah,
The
that's other
things that
thing.
we do are things that can be shared, like yoga, like music, like swimming, hiking, even the recipes, the oats that we do, the food and all that kind of thing. Like it's things that can be shared and that people enjoy as well. So yeah, we don't know exactly really. I guess one of the reasons we went into the van was so that we could explore, we could travel, we could continue to work on these things whilst exploring to see where we wanted to perhaps settle one day, or to meet new people to give us more like ideas, and even like the course that you're offering, or even just meeting you guys, for example, it's opened us to so much more and things like that. So it's just kind of putting it all together at the moment. And I mean, I guess if we were to write it down right now, we'd have a list of like so much.
We're trying to refine it a bit, but we've got these things.
We know the main things, and now it's just kind of putting them all together.
But a bit like you, we've got like an ideal of like, you know, like what's your ideal day look like, and where is it that you are? And we've got that kind of dialed in. It's just sort of like now it's like a journey towards that,
letting it just
that place. But then
happen.
as life always happens, we'll probably get to that place, and then the mind's going somewhere else, and you know, you just have to keep kind of reining it in.
That's what happens to us a lot too. I can definitely relate to that.
I think I achieved the thing I wanted last year, but I want the thing I want.
Now I want the new thing. That's okay. We're here to experience this world and do different things, and yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, we're not here to just settle and do the same thing every day for the next 50 years, and you know, we. Personally, to us, we don't think that's what life's about, you know.
Yeah.
And
it might be for some people.
Yeah, for some it might be, and that's fine. But we do see that there is more to life than just that.
Experiencing. I think what you've just said, you've just nailed it on the head, and it seems like you guys have kind of like built a life around like just experience things. I think like that's what I'm kind of taking from this. It's like, yeah, that's true. Like even in the, you know, try this out because, you know, it might work, but if it doesn't, you get something from it. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the ethos.
I love it. Oh, it's so awesome. But quick question whilst we're kind of on the chat of like the future or like plans or dreams or just that kind of thing. Do you have any like grand experiences that you have on that list that you really want to tick off? Kind of like a bucket list, but also not, because we said this in the podcast we've put out this week when we recorded it. Like we were saying bucket list, but bucket list is quite often referred to as like travel.
Yeah.
But
if
mean
you say bucket
like
list, most people go
anything.
for like a place that they want to
Yeah,
go to.
obviously it might be, and that's cool. But do you have anything like a grand experience that you really want to tick off?
We actually spoke about it because we saw it in the questions that you sent, right? But yeah, we didn't come up with one main grand experience.
We spoke about there are still places we want to travel to, and so we do really want to go to see like India and Nepal. We want to go into Africa and mainly see like Egypt and that connection to Greece and like Turkey. But and this is probably like where it's going, because we want to see these places for those reasons of like the heritage of humanity and like mainly the spiritual heritage of humanity. So like, you know, going and exploring, you know, around the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx and other places like that. Just, you know, being there physically will be an interesting experience to have, and you know, going like you know, Mount Sinai and into like some places in Nepal and just like interacting with the cultures. We just as you were saying a minute ago, Bennett, with the you know, experiencing having the experiences as the value. When we immerse ourselves in different cultures, like when we started to really get networked in China, it was mind blowing, like the difference in culture and like kind of what is normal. Like over there, you know, it's just so normal to use these medicinal herbs and stuff. Like they have just you know, a shop like a pharmacy looks like a health food shop, and people are just practicing these like techniques of manifestation, and like, you know, like you see like the red packets and like lucky money and that sort of thing, and like the cat and that luck, bringing luck to you and all that sort of stuff. It's just ingrained in the culture, and we find a lot of value in exploring that and kind of getting under the surface. So I guess one of the big kind of things we want to achieve is to experience what is like the base human experience, or like where are we all finding our collective enjoyment and that sort of stuff, and where's our collective fears, where's our collective enjoyment, to bridge the gap. Like East and West is a big contrast, for example.
And I think alongside that as well, last time when we were traveling, we kind of missed a deeper meaning. Like, you know, there was a meaning and we learned so much, but we missed a deeper meaning. We wanted to give something back in the place that we went to. So I think something we keep kind of coming back to and talking about. I would love to open our own charity and help people. You know, we really want to help in some way and make like impact.
Make an impact. Make a big impact. Yeah, that's right. That's what you wrote actually.
Yeah.
Make an impact.
Make an impact. Yeah. So something like that. We're not sure how that's gonna happen. But it will.
We believe that anyone has the power to make great change, and you can. You know, you can do a lot. What a single person can change a lot, and that's when we collectively move together. You know, and it sparks from a great idea. Usually, you know, if there's a great idea that's based in a study of the world, then that's kind of everyone's idea, and then we are just implementing what we all want. We're stewards of the earth, sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd answer the question, but
is that like a hazy kind of answer?
Like went beyond just grand experience. It was like we're just gonna, impact the whole world, and that's like pretty grand. Yeah.
That is, I'm looking forward to
shoot for the moon.
Yeah, kind of. But not necessarily the whole world. Impacting just a group of
universe,
people. Impacting one
all
person.
Of creation.
That's what happens with our conversations. We're like, let's do this, and Anthony says, let's make this massive grand thing. I'm like, let's do it.
What do you want? Chips or rice? And I'm like, how can I relate this to some kind of deep spiritual meaning? What I'm going to nourish my body with?
But then we find a common ground, a good
balance.
balance.
We balance each other out.
Yeah. I think definitely needed. Always good to have that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely brings you back down or brings you up when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think a bucket list would just be, like you said, so long.
Mm-hmm.
Our friends Danielle and Luke actually showed this little exercise. If you write down 100 things that you want to do, be, or become, then you can get all those ideas out on the page and kind of like start honing in on a general topic that feeds that they all feed into one thing in the end. You know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
100 things sounds like so much, and I've always seen like people who do like a list of 100 things of something, and I'm always like, I don't know that I even know 100 words. Like, what? But it's a good challenge as well. It's a good challenge to do it, I think. It's not a bad idea. Getting so many ideas from this podcast.
Yeah, we're going to be, awesome. Our afternoon's going to be full.
The rest of quarantine is going to be like packed.
You're nearly finished, right? Like your quarantine.
We finish on Saturday, so Sunday we can officially leave, which is exciting. Not that there's far to go in this area.
It means we can go for a walk.
But yeah, we're looking forward to a walk because we need it for sure. But one more test to do, which isn't as good, but then it'll be good, hopefully.
Tests.
How many have you done so far?
So obviously in quarantine we've done one, but then before we've done three in total. But the quarantine one is way worse than the other two. The quarantine one is we didn't know this, but when I read the leaflet as to what you have to do, so it literally says swab both tonsils 5 times, and it says you should gag. Like, the fact that it says that, I read it and I was like, Ben, you know that this is like way worse than the other two, and then you have to do both nostrils with like 5 swabs as well. Oh, it's horrendous. Honestly, stay away from PCR tests as much as you can.
I was reading that you can like lawfully decline to do them. I mean, you probably still have to quarantine, but you can apparently legally decline it because you have inalienable rights that your body is your own body, and no one can do anything to that without a consent, like lawfully. So there are people who are traveling internationally and saying this information or relaying this information, but they obviously every time they travel have to add like half a day for inspections and talks with officials and stuff. But they do it. But they're scared of the blood-brain barrier being damaged, because if you shove a cotton swab right up there, you're touching that blood brain barrier, and that's quite a delicate area. And if you have someone who kind of shunts it a bit too hard, you can.
It feels insane.
It's
You've
I'm
never
not
had
surprised.
anything touched there before.
Yeah.
It feels mad. I kind of weirdly enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie.
You're gonna be there with the cotton swab, like, oh yeah.
Yeah, you just see me in the corner, like, oh. No.
Oh, I'm the complete opposite. Like, not for me. But
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, so plenty to do for the rest of our quarantine, which is awesome. And yeah, well, maybe it's just over an hour now, which is incredible, and it's been so good to chat, and definitely looking forward to. Yeah, I know it flies by, right? Definitely looking forward to the tunes that you guys, you and
Yeah, I was just about to ask
Yeah,
about that.
that
Are
was
you going to
exciting.
get out and do any music videos or anything while you're there? When you get your freedom?
I think one thing I really want to do whilst I'm here is do some busking, especially if we're locked into the UK and we can travel around the UK. I think that's one thing I want to do, just to kind of scratch that itch, just to play some shows.
Bristol's a good place to do. Bristol and Bath are really good places to busk. Yeah.
Yeah, Canterbury was one that I've been to a few times. We're local to Cambridge, so in Cambridge you can bus for free. I think I'm going to do a bit of that. See what happens. I mean, I'm dying to play a real show, but you can't at the moment because no venues are open, so can't do that.
Everything has to be live streamed at the moment.
Yeah, live streaming is tough.
But I love what you're doing. Like I saw on your YouTube, you've just put out loads and loads of covers, and same like what Beth has done with her channel, just putting out loads and loads of stuff. I kind of want to do that as well. I feel like I always just do it live to Facebook or something, just for a little thing. And
Well, I guess the whole like lockdown and everything, even though we took off in the van, so it didn't apply to us wholly, because you can't play any live shows and you can't do anything like that. Like for me, it was like, well, this is a great opportunity to just write, and like just produce content, like. Because, even if it's not a lot happens with it now, like as and when everything opens back up, you've got this huge catalogue of songs I've written. So that was my thought going into it. It was like, right, let's just write loads of songs. And
yeah,
That's really
great.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
really
I think
good.
that whole idea that you have a plan to ship so many of your creations is so good, because you can end up, making so many projects and they'll have finished, but it's the putting out that's the important part.
yeah.
So it's awesome.
But that's why I wanted to reach out and collaborate and and get other people involved, because that's the other thing is this whole isolation. You can't just play with people. And that's that's part of it, playing with people. So, yeah, just something as simple as that. So, yeah.
It's not so possible without actually being in the room with each other, because, I mean, the latency issue is always going to be there on the internet. And you don't have the same feeling, when you're in the same room and you're both you see the drummer, you see the bassist, and everything's kind of got an energy.
Yeah. Well, it's
same
just
space.
it goes back to what you guys study energy, and the whole energy and vibration to music. It's like something as simple as singing with someone. Your brain waves kind of connect, and
It's true, yeah. You feel it. You feel the movement of the air through your body.
To take it off on a tangent, there's a huge part of that all missing in people at the moment. So, as and when it opens up, if we've been working all creatively and you haven't lost that, then I think that's really something cool.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good
Very
point.
true, yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll finish off with our last question that we always finish off with, unless there's anything else you'd like to share before we go ahead.
Don't say that, because we'll share something and we'll go for half an hour.
That's true. It just
I mean, you're more than welcome to if you want to, but
Don't worry, be happy. That's what I'll say.
so what mantra do you go by, if any? You can have one each or one together.
I had one for a while, which was about slow life, about slowing things down and doing everything with a kind of purpose. But then this evolved into something we both share now, which is the intentions, about setting intentions in everything we do.
It's not really a mantra, yeah. But,
it's just like an ethos or like a way of living. When you sit down to eat your food, you know, that food's going to sustain you for half a day or whatever, and that's got power in it, you know. So if you sit down, you're really present and you chew that food and really enjoy it going into your body, then it's going to have a different effect than if you just gobble it down watching some Netflix or something. Then you know, even if you look at it scientifically with all the chewing and stuff, you're not getting as much nutrition if you don't do that. But we think with the intentions, if you emotionally put yourself in that space, then you kind of, when you feel full later on and you start to feel hungry again, you carry that emotional base, and so you're like, oh yeah, I feel full and happy and I can work on whatever I'm working on, because I had that intention for this food to do that. And that's just one example, but you know, even when you wake up in the morning, or you question then, why are you doing things? Why am I picking up my phone right now? Why am I going to clean the dishes or whatever it is, you know? And everything becomes more meaningful, and that gives us like a real great sense of purpose and links life together. The hassle doesn't become hassle anymore. It becomes just a stepping stone or another learning point on the day through as we meander through life. So intention setting, intention setting. Yeah, and intend, don't expect. That's probably the way to put it. Intend without expectations.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. Awesome. Well,
I'm on the bombshell.
It's funny because our this year's goal for us is the year of it actually happening, but no expectations.
Really?
Nice. Every year we always put like a title to the year.
I mean, he says every year. This is the second year we've done it.
Second year we've done it.
Yeah.
Every year of my life since I was like 20, I've always put a title to the year for some reason at the start, and just like. And the thing is you can put any title you want really, and you can always kind of find the application. But yeah, that was this year's title so far. But no expectation, but I like the intent thing. I think that like you figure out so much about yourself if you start going about things with intent, because you're like you said, the phone thing's brilliant. Like you pick up your phone, you're like, why am I picking this up? What am I doing with it? And then you're like, I'm gonna put it down and walk off and do something that's gonna be a bit more meaningful. But then like you say, you can then start to find meaning in things that perhaps you don't want to wash the dishes, but you can be like, well, what's my intention? Like, I'm gonna I don't know, for example, whilst we're here, enjoy the free hot water that flows out the tap.
Yeah, and how happy you'll be after when it's clean and you don't have to do it later. Yeah, with everything you do, I think that's why in the morning, on Instagram we share like what can we get excited about today. So we go in the day with that. We make the intention to be excited about something, to be happy. We generate that feeling. And even before talking with you guys, we want to like connect with you and make that intention and share something. So, yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining and sharing. And we look.
Thanks for inviting us.
No, you're welcome. Honestly, we really wanted to reach out with everything that you kind of have already shared on, your Instagram and stuff. It was like, okay, I want to get to know these people more and think there's something there. So it's so cool that, especially like there's so much that we can kind of share, like as in connect with, with the things like that we both do bring together, like your collaborations over music and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us, and I think you're great examples of like you said, making it happen. You're doing it, you're putting it into action and sticking to it, being consistent. That's one of the big challenges we're rising to now, is being consistent. And we think you're shining examples of that. Thank you for being you.
And to you, and thanks for being so bright and sunny as well. I love it so much.
You have been listening to the Less Trodden Path podcast with Laura and Benedict. Make sure you subscribe to us on whichever platform it is you're using. If you would like to feature on the Less Trodden Path podcast, then head over to our website, thelesstroddenpath.com. Thank you for listening. The Less Trodden Path podcast is sponsored by imakesounds.com, music for content creators. If you're looking for royalty-free music to feature on your own podcast, blogs, YouTube videos and more, then head over to imakesounds.com.